Picasso with the Eagle Riders MC, and I'm here today with
Hollywood Black Patch MC Las Vegas.
Cool. So today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about why you should not form your own club.
Don't form a club.
Don't form a club.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't think about it. I know you're thinking about it, but don't do it. Yeah. No, there's a lot of reasons to form a club. We're actually going to do a whole video on that too. But we wanted to do a video today about why you shouldn't. And every city's a little bit different, and every market's a little bit different. Every county, every state, everybody's a little different. But what we have been seeing, at least certainly in the motorcycle community here in Southern Nevada and even in the area here, is we are seeing a huge influx of what are called pop-up clubs, which are clubs that, it's a couple of guys, they get together, they say, hey, let's throw on some patches and we're a club tomorrow, We're seeing a lot of that, and we're seeing a lot of potential pushback from...
You ever see that, what was it called? It was a documentary show or documentary reality show. It was about a guy who basically did. They put on a bunch of patches, like they call themselves the ice cream killers. Yeah, it was a whole thing, and they ended up riding with HA and all this stuff.
Really?
And it was pretty entertaining. But it was a good example of this, like, don't just pop on something on, because then they're at a gas station once, and then like the HA shows up and like, who are you guys? And it was pretty entertaining.
We're Sons of Anarchy.
I'll have to find it. Maybe I'll put I don't know if I want to give them any promotion, but put it in the
link in the description.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to watch this. No, I haven't seen it. It sounds funny.
Yeah,
it sounds real funny. So one of the things that we run into all the time, and I know we see it a lot, and I'm sure you see it a lot, is every other weekend there's a new club rolling around in town, right?
Hold on, I want to preface this with, technically, and no disrespect, we are pop-up clubs.
That's kind of true, yeah.
I'll speak for myself. I won't speak entirely for my club, but I believe we popped up essentially.
Yeah.
But and not to go into the history of my club, we had a mission, I guess, that wasn't fulfilled in this area. But not excuses or anything. Just kind of prefacing that, my opinion.
And that's even to a certain degree, our club kind of evolved into it. We were actually kind of told by some 1% clubs that we should patch up, because what happened was we were kind of like, when we first started, our club is now 10 years old. Our club actually turns 10 next month.
Oh, nice.
And so when we first formed, we were kind of like an MC, but we had sort of like an RC kind of mentality. And there was a lot of us that wanted to really kind of tighten up and make our club more MC-like.
Yeah.
And it wound up pushing a lot of the RC kind of people out,
which
worked
had
out
those
really
growing
good.
Pains, even though we started as MC, we had those growing pains definitely in the beginning.
A lot of clubs do.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to get out of that and make it tighter. And over the years, we kind of learned and we molded ourselves and we tightened up, and that's kind of how we got to where we are today.
Yeah.
But we were actually told by a 1% club in our area, it's like, if you guys want to be taken more seriously, you kind of need to do this.
Seriousness.
So
going back to the previous video on MC versus RC, that's what I was preaching, is the seriousness of versus RC versus MC, same versus a lot, versus. Anyways, and going back real quick, most clubs, if you think about it, past, could we say the 70s are pop-up clubs?
Yeah.
That might be a stretch. I don't want to offend anyone. I mean, in reality, like, we weren't the originators.
Right.
We liked what happened, what the culture of it, and we said, let's start a club.
Right. And dating back to the original clubs from the 40s and 50s, in the early 50s specifically, that's when all of this really started. And then, there were certain clubs that came into being in the 60s and into the 70s a lot too, that, took over certain areas or filled gaps that weren't really there that they felt were in the MC community.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the stuff you're correct, has kind of gotten established long before we got here.
Yeah.
So,
and so again, saying we're pop-up clubs kind of defeats the purpose of what we're trying to talk about right now.
Right, yeah.
But with that said, starting your own club versus not starting your club, if you want to start your own club, the idea of your club, does it give anything new to the community, right? Like, if you're just going to say, oh, we're just a bunch of dudes who want to hang out and ride, well, every other club is a bunch of dudes that want to hang out and ride.
Right.
So why start a new club?
Right.
And to preface, like, for my own self, because I feel like I'm digging myself a hole. So how Black Patch got started was it was a bunch of stagehands, and in this community there was no clubs or any kind of aside from IATSE, any kind of clubs that were stage centric or entertainment centric, and we felt that we could offer something to the community that was not offered, and we've provided stages, bands, entertainment type stuff to other clubs, and again, still kind of digging myself a hole, but that's where I feel the difference is, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Still a pop-up club, but there was a little bit of a reason
commonality
for it.
between your members, yeah.
Well, like a hole in the community that wasn't there, or that was there, and I don't want to say filled, but there was not a spot for us to go beyond that.
Well,
if that makes sense.
No, I
don't know.
totally get it. I think, and this is, like here in Las Vegas, right? Last I heard, we had over 200 clubs in Vegas. I mean,
I didn't know
it's
that.
like
I
crazy.
knew it was
how
up
many
there. I knew it was up there.
Yeah, it's like crazy how many we have.
Jeez.
And I might be a little off on
Yeah.
that, but that's the latest number that I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got to realize it's like, and I see this from time to time where it's like a new club patches up and they're like, well, we're all Marines. It's like, okay, well, I know of at least 4 other Marine clubs in Vegas that are just Marine guys.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are some clubs that are just Army guys. I mean, they exist, right? So you have to start to ask yourself, it's like, well, what's different about your Marine club that the other 4 Marine clubs, what are they not fulfilling for you as somebody who wants to be part of that community?
Yeah, definitely.
And the commonality is that, well, we're all ex-Marines, or I hate to say ex-Marines. I know that's like total bad protocol.
Yeah, you gotta skate that line right now.
Please don't write in the comments about how bad that was. But for Marines, that are, that's their commonality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what is it that club is not providing for you that starting a new club is going to provide for you? And so these are things you always want to ask yourself. Or sometimes it's just a matter of people that are just casual riders that, are like, well, let's start an MC. We want to be Sons of Anarchy and we're going to be a bunch of Hellraisers and we're going to throw all our patches on. I've seen this.
Yeah.
And so, we always tell people, it's like, look, if you really, really feel like you need to start putting patches on a vest, don't think out of the gate that an MC is really the way to go, especially if you don't have any experience in the MC community, because that's going to get you in a lot of trouble. And I mean trouble, I mean that could be like legitimate trouble.
Yeah.
So if you're going to think about going in that direction, an RC is probably the best way to go.
I was going to say, that'd be the start of it. If you really have to start a club, is RC, because it's a little more lax. Other MCs are kind of like, they don't look at it as like under such a microscope.
Right.
That would definitely be the start of it, I think.
Yeah, and in that way it kind of gets your cuts your cuts your teeth on that element of the community.
But even starting MC maybe, and if you're wanting to be serious and go further than that, still trying to figure out what your RC could bring to the community that's unique or a little bit different, or just something that can benefit the community can benefit from.
Right.
Because it's supposed to be a community. You break it down to MC and RC. Even RC, it's about getting together with some friends, and then MC maybe becomes family and so forth. So, and then you take that on the grander scale. So MCs should be, you hear the stories, they're not all getting friendly, but it's about the community.
Right.
And even if it's not community with other clubs, it's community with your community, charities and so forth, we can talk about.
Yeah, well, and even to the degree of, I think people when they're forming a club don't always understand the level of commitment, whether it's an RC or an MC.
Yeah.
Time-wise, that it takes to just manage a small group. Even if you're an RC and all you do is go on a ride every Saturday, people don't realize how much work it takes. It's like, well, how are we going to organize our rides? Where are we going? Where's our stop going to be? What do we want to, like these little things need time to plan out, right? And so, and certainly with MCs, now you're taking it up a whole nother level, right? So, I don't think people realize is if you're an officer of an MC, best case scenario, it's a part-time job.
Yeah,
I mean, it really truly is.
No, there's a phrase. It's the work-life club balance. If you can't do that, don't even bother being in a club. Anything, because if you can't balance the club and be serious about it, then why waste your time or other people's time? Like, you're just spinning other people's wheels for no reason. And that's just wasting people's time.
Yeah, well, and been the president of our club for a number of years. I used to be our club secretary, and it's kind of jokingly, that's really the there's like 2 positions that actually have to do work on the board, right? There's a secretary and a treasurer, right? And they actually do actual work.
Yeah.
But right, but the fact
different kind of work.
Well, no, it's different kind of work, right? But it's still. I mean, let's be honest. The secretary puts more direct hours into busy work into a club than like your vice president probably does, right?
Yeah.
Not to bemoan vice presidents, but they have their own role too.
Yeah, and it's important when those roles come up. You need them, yeah, for sure.
Oh, for sure. And sergeant at arms, they play a very important role. A lot of times people don't realize how busy they have to be on things. But when you're starting up your own club, it's when you're an RC, you'll probably figure out if it's all right, it's 5 of us. It's usually recommended if you're going to do anything to form a new club, start with at least 5 people. That way you have everybody.
I mean, I don't think anybody will look at you seriously if you don't. What is it? Robert's rule of law? I'm totally
Roger's rule of order. Yeah.
Yeah. To establish the quorum, you have to have the 5 people, the 5 positions. You definitely want to do that. And another thing to be said is I'm trying to think of an analogy, but like watering down the community as well. Mm-hmm. If you're everyone's just popping up a club, then what's so special about a club? Like why be in a club? Is your club any special if there's 50 other ones doing the same thing?
Right.
And I think that's something to be said. Is it kind of just waters it down?
Yeah, I agree. Well, yeah, I totally agree. And it also, while you're out there talking about the importance of prospecting to get new members into your club, what does it say if it's just like, you were no club yesterday and you are a club today and you're throwing rockers on? And,
exactly.
Kind of stuff,
yeah. Right? And you'll be surprised how many will talking about going to MC instead of RC, starting an MC right away. If you don't got proper approval or just haven't made face, I've seen them. They'll start up and then a week they're gone, and you don't see those people. Right. That's what's weird about it. You don't.
Yeah, they kind of vanish. I've noticed that too. Actually, it's kind of
funny. They get a talking to. Right. And it kind of needs that. Kind of like losing my train of thought here, but
that's right. And by the way, to clarify for those who are not aware, that we keep saying MC and RC. RC stands for Writers Club. I think we should probably establish this, right?
Yes, we should definitely.
And RC stands for Writers Club, and MC stands for a motorcycle club. And I know for the lay people out there, it's probably like, well, what's really the difference? It's really a matter of semantics and the wording, but there is a difference. In the community, there's a big difference as far as how those 2 words are treated. They're not interchangeable.
And to add a little bit more detail, one thing I've been taught is you will see, I haven't seen it actually like in person, but from my understanding, there are motorcycle clubs where it'll be spelled out motorcycle club, and that's totally different than MC.
MC, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a totally different world, and I'm still not kind of clear on the exact intricacies of it, the differences, but I guess it's more comparable to an RC.
Yeah,
it's not like as serious.
That's how it's been explained to me a little bit. Yeah. And then there are some clubs that do, we'll get into rockers and patches and everything in another video, but, there's some clubs that do more regional territorial things. And, that starts getting into the weeds of this topic a little bit.
And that's a good thing, too, just as a quick note, as it could go into a different topic, is if you do end up starting a club or want to start one, don't just throw on Nevada State Rocker or even Las Vegas. Generally, RCs shouldn't have a bottom rocker.
Correct, yeah.
And MCs, if you're going to put any kind of city or anything like on the bottom, then
you're claiming a territory.
Yeah, expect someone to talk to you.
Right.
So keep that, thinking about that. Yeah.
No, it's all true. It's all true.
But I mean, I guess that kind of sums up a lot of it. Just find a club that might fit you instead of. Don't try to be like, I'm the president. I'm going to be the president of the club and always be the president of the club because I started it. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And it fails. The people in the club will leave because they're not going to accept that just because you started it.
It takes a lot. I've been president of our club for a while, and I've had to learn a lot, and I still continue to learn. It is a never-ending learning process.
What's the phrase? When you become a member, that's when you start prospecting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good way to look. That's a great phrase.
Yeah.
But it's me on a personal level. I'm always learning, not just about how I can do my job better, but how I can make my club do better by doing what I do. And there are times where you have to kind of learn when it's right to step back. There are times when you need to intervene. You're there as a counselor, as a guidance, and it's a complicated. Every role in a club is complicated in its own little degree, right? And so it's always learning about how you can do what you do better. But ultimately, it's what I'm not president of the club because I want to be a tyrant. It's like I'm president of the club because I think I have something to offer, but it's also because I have a love for my family that I feel like I can help with. And and so a lot of when we get into officers, we're going to talk about that a little bit. But yeah, it's a lot of understanding about and also understand when it's a good time to step down too. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I always tell anyone I'm sponsoring in my process I'm sponsoring or hang-arounds, be prideful, or is that the right phrase? Pride, where you humble. That's the word I'm looking for. Be humble, because you as a club, like you're walking around, your daily business as yourself. It can be all about you for sure. It's your life. When you join a club, put on a similar patch, and everyone's wearing the same thing. If you go act a fool, then everyone's acting a fool.
Correct,
so don't let your ego jump to it. Understand you could be the problem or you could be the solution and so forth. Don't think you're your way is the highway,
Right.
or the highway.
Well, I also understand that anytime you're wearing cut, colors, rags, whatever you want to call them, right? Anytime that patch, whether it's on you or not, understand that every time you're in a family and you're representing that, you are representing that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so that's
It's like the
it's a big
American
deal.
flag. You're gonna go, wear the American flag and do something stupid? No, because then everybody's gonna look at Americans and
Right.
Well, that's a whole different story. But yeah,
No, but it's true to that, too.
same idea, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that kind of covers a lot of that,
Awesome.
right?
Be sure to like and subscribe our channel. We'd love it if you could. It just keeps getting us going and it helps to create more videos. So we'll wrap this up like we always do. Let's do a shot.
Yeah. Look at that,
Our Harley
yeah.
glasses.
Yeah.
I know you hate that. I know you hate it. Cheers.
Yeah.
All right. Keep the shiny side up. We'll see you on the next video.